Been a member of the current council and the predecessor bodies for quite a long time, for about 11 years, and during that time I think we were able to see quite a bit of progress in a number of areas. Work that the council did was sometimes quite influential and also sometimes provided a way of doing some things that was then implemented. The extent to which that was happening in more recent times was pretty rare. The possibility of actually influencing government direction seemed to be getting more remote, and the distance between my own views about what's the right thing to do in relation to asylum seekers, particularly boat arrivals, and the government's position on these things just diverged very dramatically. Now, the council is an interesting body. It's a group of individuals who are invited by the minister to serve on the council. The role of the council is to advise the minister on decisions around a range of things, but most specifically around detention and asylum matters. And it seemed to me that there was no longer a possibility of having any positive influence. And in those circumstances, the only reasonable thing to do was to resign. I think their power depends on two things. It depends on the quality of the people who are members of those bodies. And generally they are very good people who are members of those bodies. And it depends on the quality of their arguments around whatever the issue happens to be. But more particularly, it depends on the readiness of the minister specifically and the department to actually hear what they are being advised. Now, if you get to a situation where other factors make it either impossible or undesirable for the minister to take the advice of such a body, then their power disappears almost completely. But in circumstances where the advice is sought and welcomed and considered and sometimes acted on, I think they can be quite powerful. They can have a very positive impact on the direction that events take. I think they're dishonest because I think that they are so at variance with the sort of way in which we, that is Australians, like to see ourselves. There is such a gap between our view of ourselves as a welcoming, generous country, interested in justice, protectors of human rights. That kind of view of ourselves, which has been at different points in our history pretty accurate. I think we're a long way from that at the moment. That can be said very simply, that if the people who are making policy decisions were to find themselves as asylum seekers, what kind of policy would they want to see in place? How would they expect this country to treat them if they were seeking this country's protection? That's the kind of asylum seeker policy that we need to get back to.